Stop saying marijuana. Why? Because it's racist as The term was used to knock on people of color and their devilish ways. Now, the word itself isn't inherently racist, but it was used by American prohibitionists to exploit racism and xenophobia. So by using the M word, you're ignoring a long history of oppression against Mexican immigrants and African Americans. Let's go on a quick history lesson, shall we? Weed has been consumed by the American elite since the 1840s. It was even sold over the counter as medication to treat insomnia, migraines, and rheumatism. But it didn't become controversial until the early 1900s, when millions of Mexicans migrated to the US following the Mexican Revolution. With them, they brought marijuana, and their customs of smoking it casually and regularly. But the term was then popularized in the 1930s by this man. Harry Anslinger was the director of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics from 1930 to 1962. Now, Anslinger believed that marijuana influenced black and brown people to commit murder and other violent crimes, which is ridiculous, because all I see people do when they smoke is sit on their couch, watch TV, eat munchies, and fall asleep. So his solution was to launch a vicious propaganda campaign against marijuana and associate it with all inferior races and social deviants. Anslinger traveled across the country to convince people that marijuana was something that was invading the US. He even pronounced the drug as marijuana to make it sound Hispanic and foreign and scary to white people. The campaign played on through 1937 when Anslinger successfully pushed Congress to pass the Marijuana Tax Act, which made the drug illegal at a federal level. Since then, marijuana has been associated with the notion of addiction or living a lesser life. Instead of a herbal medicine that seems to help people with several health conditions, or simply as a way to just relax after a long, hard day's work. You might argue that marijuana lost its prejudice bite years ago, but you can't ignore the racial implications of its introduction to the American lexicon. Besides, nothing has changed. This whole conversation is actually very deja vu. We're still trying to fight the negative stigma that clings onto a plant in 2018, all because of white men such as Jeff Sessions and Steve Alford who keep making terrible remarks when trying to make marijuana the culprit for crime. Organizations that advocate for legalization, and even some media publishers, including Now This, have stopped using marijuana to describe anything that contains THC or any other cannabinoid. So what's the right word to use? Cannabis. Just call it by its Latin name and you'll not only be technically correct, but also politically correct.
Get it out! Shout at the rooftops! This is great! This is the bee's knees, item 9!